Ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and call this regular board meeting to order. I'd like to start off with 1.1, Pledge of Allegiance, and a moment of silence. Ms. Trahan, would you lead us, please? We're going to go ahead and move on to information items. 2.1, Finance is a budget recap and timeline of the 2025-2026 budget process. Would you go over that real quickly, Mr. Dugas?
Yes, as we mentioned in the budget hearing, we have consolidated the meeting into the one on the 7th, so this new is a consolidated calendar for the budget process.
Thank you, sir. 2.2 is the superintendent teacher salary increase and incentive plans. Mr. Touchette?
Board members, members of the public, while we are putting up the PowerPoint, just want to kind of just explain that, first of all, this is a first look for you, other than what you saw in board docs, and also for the public about what is going to be proposed. I will first of all say that this is a draft. There's going to be many changes to this. I wanted to kind of give you and the public an idea of what me and our team are looking toward as far as the 25-26. So the very first thing that I want you guys to all understand is that this is as a result of a survey from the UL teachers, and also by just listening to people and saying, hey, if we're going to put ourselves in a better place here in Lafayette Parish, this is what we need to do. So the second thing that I really want to start off with, and this is where this kind of takes everyone and includes everyone, is that I am proposing to this board to make sure that it's part of the salary scale, is that we increase teacher salaries for every single teacher here in Lafayette Parish. And that means we start off with 0 years experience and $50,000 for those teachers. That means it's also making sure that every teacher within that spectrum, as far as vertically, are also going to be getting raises, probably equate at different times from $4,000 to $5,000 worth of an increase across the board. Next slide. Based upon teacher assignment and also student growth. Next slide. First thing is that there will be certain positions that we will look toward, which is going to be certified teachers and that have good attendance. And there is going to be an $1,800 stipend that will be given to them at the beginning. There are also schools where it's hard to hire, and we will identify what those schools are, that we will also give those LEAP teachers $2,000. Next slide. On the growth end, when we see that there are teachers, whether it be LEAP, whether it be VAM, or whether it be DIBELS, we will also have amounts up to $3,000 that they will be able to receive at the end of the year, along with principals who are actually showing growth in their school performance scores and showing that they have actually moved the needle as far as the entire schools will show their growth. The other part of it is something that I think is probably the one thing that we've heard from several different people, is that what are we doing for the teachers that are doing the extra things after the school day? And I want to start at the bottom. In Lafayette Parish, we do not pay people for club and organizations. We will start giving stipends for those individuals. We will start paying that beta club sponsor, that senior class sponsor. We will start doing things like that. That to me is very important, that we're showing that these things which are opportunities for our kids, we're actually paying that. Also, when we talk about coaching and we're talking about directors, there is going to be something where if people are doing extras, there will be pay that will be assorted for that also. Next slide. How do we get there and what this is all going to mean as far as the monies are concerned? You guys were part of this, and I want to thank you for this. The $3.5 million is what we're going to yield from different district optimization. Between the district level and the staffing cuts that we made, it's going to be 4.2. You can see where that breakdown. And later on, and I know many people have concerns about utilizing the 2002 sales tax. Guys, we're doing very well, and there are things that we need to start taking advantage of as far as that is concerned. And it's something that you will see that we're not taking everything from it, and we still can give teachers some different things at the end. But it's something that I think that we have a solid plan that you guys are all going to see that this is the right direction we need to go. Next slide. This will help us with recruitment. This will help us keep our teachers. And by all means, guys, for the first time, we're going to be focused on rewarding people when they move kids. Next slide. Where do we go from here? Starting on Monday, we will go to these respected schools. Whoever lives in that particular area, they come. That plan that we're going to be showing them is going to be a little bit more detailed than the ones that you see here, but we're going to go to Southside, Karen Crowe, Acadiana, and STEM, and we're going to get feedback, and we're going to present the plan to all of our teachers, and I'm hoping that we can bring a product back to you when we get to the May meeting. Last, I'll just say this. This to me is going to be a difference maker as far as Lafayette Parish is concerned. I keep my eyes on a lot of different things that are happening as far as districts throughout the state. We're going to set ourselves apart by making sure that our teachers are getting paid more. The teachers that are going to be doing that hard work that is going to be required of them as far as this new accountability, we're going to be rewarding them. And by all means, we're going to be giving teachers, when they move kids, actually money. It's just like we do in business. You meet your quota, you get more money. Well, when teachers meet their quota, they will get paid more money. Again, I want to just first of all thank you guys. This is nothing for you to vote on. This is just information. I wanted to give you and the public an idea of what's going to be happening starting on Monday, and I thought this would be a great time just to kind of present. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. We're going to move on to the consent agenda. For the audience's information, I'm going to read each item. If there's an item a board member wants pulled, he'll pull it. If not, we'll vote him in. During public comment, we ask that you speak for or against the item. It's not question and answer. It's your opinion on whether you're for or against an item. You will also be allowed to speak on items that were not pulled. I will start with 3.1 academics, discussion and our action concerning resolution 04-025-2127, week of the young child on April 5th through 11th, 2025. 3.2, discussion and our action concerning resolution 04-025-2128, school library month. 3.3 is finance, discussion and our action concerning resolution 04-025-2129, preliminary approval of not exceeding $70 million of sales tax revenue bond series 2025. 3.4, discussion and our action concerning resolution 04-025-2130, ordering and calling an election to be held in Consolidated School District Number 1 of the Parish of Lafayette, State of Louisiana, to authorize renewal of an ad valorem tax. 3.5, academics, discussion and our action concerning resolution 04-025-2131, National Autism Awareness Month. 3.6, transportation, discussion and our action concerning resolution 04-025-2132, National School Bus Driver Appreciation Day. 3.7, academics, discussion and our action regarding early obligation of textbooks, site license funds. 3.8 is administration, discussion and our action concerning summer operating hours and work schedule. 3.9 is administration, discussion and our action concerning revisions to Appendix A schedule of fees for policy JS, student fees, fines, and charges for the 2025-2026 school year. 3.10 is administration, discussion and our action concerning the dress code guidelines for students portion of the 2025-2026 student parent handbook. 3.11 is administration, discussion, or action regarding 2025-2026 bell schedules.
Can you pull that, can you pull that for discussion, please?
3.12 is board discussion and or action to name D.A. Davidson and Company underwriter or placement agent pursuant to MSRB Rules G17 and G23 for wing additions at Acadiana High, Judy's Middle, and L.J. Alamo. 3.13, discussion or action to update the committed school sites, additions, renovations, replacement list. 3.14, discussion or action to update the committed school sites, addition, renovations, and replacement list. 3.15 is facilities, discussion or action concerning a servitude agreement with the City of Lafayette at L.J. Alamo School. 3.16, facilities, discussion or action concerning an act of dedication of servitude at Carencro Bob Lilly School with the City of Carencro. 3.17, facilities, discussion and or action concerning declaration of surplus property at Lafayette High School at S.J. Montgomery Elementary School. 3.18 is facilities, discussion or action to close out projects not started and are completed and to transfer project funds to contingency within the self-funded construction fund. 3.19, facilities, discussion and or action to use contingency funds for new projects. 3.20, finance, discussion and or action concerning the appointment of the superintendent as the school board's representative on the local ITEP committee. 3.21, discussion or action concerning the March budget to actual revisions for fiscal year 24-25. 3.22 is risk management, discussion and or action concerning proposed policy, EFAA, employee use of social media. 3.23 is risk management, that is discussion or action concerning revisions to policy JCDAE, student use of electronic telecommunication devices. 3.24 is Superintendent Touchette's recommendation of termination of bus driver. 3.25, Superintendent discussion and or action concerning the minutes of February 11th, 2025, March 13th, 2025, and March 18th, 2025. 3.26 is transportation discussion and or action to reallocate budgeted funds for school bus tablet mounts. And 3.27 is approval of all action consent items. I will now entertain a motion to...
Mr. President, I ask that the board approve all action consent items with the exception of items pulled.
Can I have a second, please? Mr. Lejeune. We have a motion by Mr. Bergeron, seconded by Mr. Lejeune to approve all items not pulled. Now I'll ask for any public comment on any item that was not pulled. Ms. Reed,
Hey,
how are you?
good. Thank you. Joy Reed, President, Lafayette Parish Association of Educators. Speaking in reference to item 3.22, employee use of social media, our organization opposes this policy as written. We do not oppose a social media policy in its totality. We have some concerns about some of the sections of the policy that we would like to see addressed. So we do oppose it as written. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Sir, go ahead and start the clock back at 3. There you go. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is James Bowman. I'm counsel on behalf of the Louisiana Association of Educators and the Lafayette Local. And first, I would say that we appreciate the board taking this step and drafting this policy. We believe that the reasons for doing it are valid and well-founded. And most of the policy is very sound and positive. However, we have a problem with several aspects of the policy that we believe to be unconstitutional as a prior restraint. They're unconstitutionally vague and overbroad. And it's our suggestion that this matter be pulled, tabled, so that that little 10, 15% of the policy that we think is really problematic be corrected and brought up at the next board meeting. I've spoken with counsel for the board, and he and I have made some headway on it this afternoon. And we believe that this is the most appropriate step because we're here to solve a problem before one really truly exists. And we foresee that there are some big issues. For instance, the policy as drafted holds employees like Ms. Reed responsible for content on Facebook that is posted by any member of the public onto their page or one of their Facebook friends. That, we believe, is troubling. Another issue is that it fails to define what a professional conduct is as it relates to internet postings. And we think that there's some pretty easy solutions to that definitional issue. And another problem, just a highlight of the short few, is number 9 on the list within the policy, that the employees shall not use internet postings to libel or defame both this board, the board members, employees, and students. We understand the spirit of that, but we think that there's problems in the way it could be executed, and that there's a solution to that, but that it needs to get worked on, and as written has some serious problems. As well as what on number 11, employees shall not post inappropriate content that negatively impacts their ability to perform their jobs. While we, again, understand where that's coming from, that suffers from a bit of vagueness that we don't want to have to litigate over. And, you know, my understanding is that some of the board members believe that this is good policy and policy that is consistent with private employment, and I would remind the board that this is not private employment and that the First Amendment protects its employees in this context, whereas in a private employment setting, the First Amendment does not apply. And thank you for your time.
If you have something else, I'll give you a portion of Ms. Reed's 2 minutes unless you're done.
That's it.
That's
I
it? Well,
appreciate
you timed it perfectly, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Nick Richard, Lafayette High. It's dress code, so of course I'm here, right? Of course I'm here for dress code. Let's try this one. Yeah, this one works. Nick Richard, Lafayette High, dress code. First of all, thank you for taking some of my suggestions from last year. I really like that you included community college and university sweatshirts on the list of approved items for high school students. This is the goal, right? Jeans are a great idea considering we have Career Center kids that are spending half their day there, half their day on high school campuses. I think it's wonderful. I also like that the tiny humans in elementary can wear hooded jackets, but hopefully this idea does not transfer into middle school and high school in future years. It's been wonderful not having to worry about that to the degree that we were. I would like to suggest that in light of the use of weapons detection systems on campuses that we get rid of mesh and clear backpacks. As a father and as a teacher, I see that the clear ones are not durable. I helped one of my students patch one up just last week because she's a senior and she said, I can't get another one with a month left of school. And the mesh ones are terrible at protecting LPSS property, Chromebooks, from the weather, as well as all their school items. On a number of occasions, I've helped my son dry out his stuff in his mesh backpack. Also, it wouldn't be me talking about dress code without me finding a typo. The bottom right page of page 4 gave me a little bit of chuckle when I saw that banana wraps were against policy. I'm assuming that meant bandana. Also speaking on 3.23, the cell phone policy for students, I'm concerned about the highlighted portion that references athletic competitions during the instructional day being part of the prohibition for student cell phone use. Just a couple of days, we had students on our tennis team go to the Parish tennis tournament, and it was during the school day, and I think it's an odd thing to say that that student who is off campus at, yes, a school-sponsored event, but outside of the school environment can't answer his mother's phone call whenever she asks what time is your match. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, sir. And my goal is one day that we do a handbook and you don't have to come. Yes. Any other public comment? Any board comment? I will start with you, Mr. Hidalgo.
Mr. President, I have comments and potential questions on a few of them. Can I go through all of them, or do I need to do one at a time?
Sir, you may do what you want.
Oh my gosh, y'all remember that? Let me start off with 3.22. A couple of things to say about that. I certainly understand the testimony here tonight, and if there's anything that we could do to make this policy better, then we certainly want to do it. I would ask that we do not pull it and that we do not postpone it. I would ask that we continue to vote on it tonight as is, and that we work with and tweak things over the next 30 or so days, because we can always amend our policies. And one of the reasons I would suggest that we don't waste any more time on this is, A, not only are we way behind the times on this, but B, you know, there are other districts that have this exact same policy. Our attorneys have gone through this proposed policy, and they're comfortable with the wording, although, as I don't want to speak for Mr. Hammonds, but he mentioned to me that he's absolutely willing to work back and forth and negotiate with the folks who are at the table. So I would ask that we not pull it and vote on it separately. Let's get something put down. You know, the superintendent alluded to it before. I hate that we have to say this, but I mean, we literally have employees that are, well, they're doing some very, very interesting things on social media. And I'll tell you, it's inappropriate. It's unacceptable for certain professionals at that level to be doing some of the things they're doing. And so I'd like to see us be able to start at least managing that process immediately. Second thing, Mr. President, if you don't mind, or superintendent or someone, help me understand item 3.3, which I do want to talk a little bit about here in a minute, has a resolution attached to it that appoints D.A. Davison as the underwriter for this bond issue. So can you shed some light on why we have two items on the agenda addressing the same thing?
Which item is that?
3.3 and 3.12.
3.3.
3.3's resolution says, 3.3 resolution on that sales tax bond issue says the appointment of underwriter. The issuer hereby appoints and confirms D.A. Davison as the underwriter. I don't have a major problem with it. I'm just wondering why it's on here twice, if there's any underlying reason or.
Matt, is there a comment on that?
Yeah, we had a standing board item passed maybe 3 or 4 years ago that appointed Raymond James and Stifel as the standing underwriter. So in order to change a board action, we needed another board action in addition to it's already included in the resolution, but we felt it clear that we needed another board action to override the previous board action.
Okay. We feel confident that's the only reason it's on here twice.
Yes.
Okay. And then my last thing, Mr. President, if I could ask the representative from Argent, who is here to come up to the hot seat for item 3.3. Item 3.3 resolution appoints Argent as the municipal advisor for this particular bond issue in this agreement. And I have a couple of questions, sir, if you don't mind. First, if you could very, very briefly describe what your role is. What is a municipal advisor? What do you do? And then I'll have a follow-up question after you answer
Sure.
that.
Sure. My name is Lucius McGee. I work for Argent Advisors out of Ruston, Louisiana. I am a registered municipal advisor that works with the school board, that represents the school board in a bond transaction, from analyzing and commenting on various financial statements like the preliminary official statement, the official statement, the bond resolution, that type of thing as that is prepared. Also, on the time that the bond is sold, we will make recommendations and monitor the market action on that date and determine whether that will be a good deal for the school board, the issuer, to do that. And then we will help with the closing documents and that sort of thing after that. Another one of the things, so there are 3 different types of sales, of public sales, that a political subdivision can borrow money. One of those is a private placement. If you could work out a deal with a local bank or something like that, that's one way that you can do that. For a public sale, there are 2 different ways. There's one is called a competitive sale. And we would work with bond counsel and the issuer, in this case the school board, and we would determine a date, we would determine the amounts of that, and then we would put that out for sale, and may the best person win. And but you have to, on that date, you have to take that number. So with the market being very volatile right now, I know everybody's looked at their 401k lately. I was 6'2" with a head full of hair last week. So all this has gone on with the volatility, and the way that is, you can also do a negotiated sale, and a negotiated sale is when you hire an underwriter to market those bonds to the public. In the past, the school district has used a combination of Raymond James and Stifel to do that, which are 2 pretty large underwriters in the Louisiana area. In talking with the administration, we're going with D.A. Davison on this one, and no problem with that. We're going to do that. My job, my role, is to make sure that it's done right, and from the school district's standpoint, it's a good deal for the school district and the taxpayer.
So, for lack of a better term, I'm going to call it a concern. My concern is not with you, it's not with D.A. Davison, it's not with any of the, I mean, you guys have done a phenomenal job since my tenure here, since 2015 on the school board. I mean, all 3 that you just described, you guys have produced for us at different times. Throughout my tenure on the school board, it's always been successful. However, my concern is with the market, the volatility of the market. I mean, the state just had to pull some bond sales. I mean, this is going to be potentially concerning. And what I want to make sure of is, I know that we have a maximum bonding amount that we're putting on here, but I want to make sure that we're going to get a good deal. I don't want us to go out to market and get stuck with a bad deal where we could have borrowed the needed $65 million, but we can only borrow 60 because of the market. So that's my concern. How are you can't, I understand you can't change the market, but I'm concerned about making sure we have the right processes in place to get the best deal for us. So, Southside, wonderful deal. I mean, I remember when you guys worked with us on a deal, at the time it was Iberia Bank. I mean, the bonds, the deal with that, I mean, you guys have done some good work. It's not with you or any of the other companies.
Right.
I'm concerned about the current day process.
Well, and this is a great question. I think this is what the public really is interested in the growth in the school district, and how you want the best facilities that are out there. We need to be flexible when we borrow this money. We don't know exactly how much money we're going to borrow right now. That's why the resolution says not to exceed $70 million. I do not believe that we're going to borrow $70 million, but if we need it, and we need to act, and as you said, market conditions are telling us this is a good time to do it, then we're gonna do that. But also, if it's not a good time, then we're gonna pull it, just like the state did. There are a number. Your bond counsels, Foley and Judell, who I think you've worked with since the organization of the school district, and they're very, very good at what they do. So working with them, working with D.A. Davison, I have confidence that we're going to be able to go to the marketplace at the proper time and get that. Hindsight will be 20/20 on whether it is good, but it'll be our best efforts to make sure that happens. And I'm confident that we could do it with your financing team. You've got good people here internally that help us as well. So looking forward to working with you on that. But yes, sir, that's exactly what we're going to do.
Any other board comment on this side? Any board comment on this side? Mr. Badger.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to talk a little bit about 3.4, right? So we're about to put a renewal on the ballot in October. And just for public sake, we saw what happened at the voting booth a few weeks ago with some parish and city millage renewals, and we want to make sure that the public is aware that we have to, it's a significant amount of money in this renewal. So I just want to make sure that we make sure the public's aware of it, that everyone knows that October 11th, right, Matt? October 11th is going to be an election day, and we're going to have a millage on the ballot, and we hope. Can't tell you how to vote. I hope you support it because we do need our continued monies in our budget, as Matt will say. Well, it'll be, a future budget issue that we'd have to correct. So, Anthony, looking at you. But yeah, and I also want to talk about 322 as well. The policy changes. I agree with Mr. Hidalgo. Let's come back and refine it. Let's pass it before it goes into effect. Before we start to issue any kind of disciplinary actions around it. Let's refine it. Because I do believe that there does need to be some refinement to it, 100%. So let's come back and make some policy changes, or make some changes to some language inside of it as well. That's all I got.
Ready? There's no more board comment. Madam Secretary, I'll call for the vote. Oh, I'm sorry. Does anybody want to read a resolution? Mr. Lejeune?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'd like to read Resolution 04-025-2132. It is National School Bus Driver Appreciation Day in the Lafayette Parish School System. Whereas 364 licensed school bus drivers, 14 transportation office staff, and 2 transportation supervisors who transport a majority of the district students safely to and from school each day. Whereas school bus drivers travel each year on regular routes, field trip routes, vocational routes, and special education routes. Whereas the safety and well-being of these children are the utmost concern of all LPSS parents, school administrators, and trust school bus drivers with the welfare of these children. The position of a school bus driver requires tremendous responsibility. They are to maneuver through traffic regardless of road conditions, while maintaining the conduct of children on the bus, and are looked to for leadership and life-saving decision-making in the event of an emergency. Whereas the National Safety Council has documented the far smaller number of accidents and fatalities per capita on school buses than automobiles. Whereas school bus drivers direct children while they are exiting the bus at their destination, school bus drivers are able to observe any suspicious activity or people along their bus route and communicate that information to proper authorities. Now therefore be it resolved, the Lafayette Parish School System wants to publicly thank the school bus drivers and transportation office staff for their hard work and dedication in providing a safe ride to and from school for the students in our school district. Be it further resolved, the superintendent or his designee shall celebrate National School Bus Driver Appreciation Day on Thursday, April 10th, 2025. And I would like to personally thank the school bus drivers. They are the first ones the children see. They're the last ones they see. They do an outstanding job with the conditions that they have to go through each and every day. So any bus drivers in here or any bus drivers listening, thank you for what you do each and every day.
Mr. Hidalgo?
All right, I'll be reading from item 3.2. Whereas the school library is to ensure that students and staff are effective users of ideas and information, and whereas the school librarian's role is to provide the leadership and expertise necessary to ensure that the school library is an integral part or the instructional program of the school, and whereas the Lafayette Parish School Board has entrusted the school librarian in each school to teach the skills of locating and using information through traditional resources and new technologies to provide literature, appreciation activities, and to guide and encourage content and recreational reading to every student. And whereas lifelong learning begins and is systematically developed through the school library curriculum of the elementary and secondary schools, and whereas the school library contributes to the individual growth and development of all students, while fostering both excellence and equity in education. And whereas the school librarians of Lafayette Parish have dedicated themselves to work for quality school libraries for all students. Now therefore be it resolved that the Lafayette Parish School Board does hereby proclaim April 2025 as School Library Month in all of the public schools of Lafayette Parish, and calls upon school administrators, teachers, students, and citizens of the Lafayette Parish to recognize and support this action and to participate throughout the month of April in the celebration of School Library Month.
Thank you, Mr. Hidalgo. Anybody else? Oh, Mr. Edmond?
I'll be reading Resolution 04-025-2131, National Autism Awareness Month. Whereas the Lafayette Parish School Board is a center for diverse learning where all students are educated to their fullest potential, and as a center of our community around which we come together in support of the education of all students. And whereas autism spectrum disorder is a developmental disorder typically diagnosed during the first 3 years of life, impacting the ability of individuals to communicate and interact with others, and whereas is reported to occur in all racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic groups, but is 4 times more common among boys and among girls. And whereas early diagnosis and intervention programs employs qualified and caring individuals who educate and work daily to improve the lives of students with autism spectrum disorder. And whereas April 2025 is designated as National Autism Awareness Month to increase public awareness of the need to support individuals with autism spectrum disorders and their family members, educators, and other professionals who teach and care for the individuals with autism spectrum disorder. Therefore, be it resolved that the Lafayette Parish School Board do hereby celebrate National Autism Awareness Month from April 1st to April 30th, 2025. Recognize and commend the family members of the children with autism spectrum disorder for their dedication in providing for the special needs of children with autism spectrum disorder. Emphasize the need to begin early intervention services for children diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder in an effort to improve potential outcomes for people with autism spectrum disorder. It honors the teachers, paraprofessionals, and other educators who possesses the desire, caring, skills necessary to teach, assist, and respond to students with special needs, including those with autism spectrum disorder, and who work tirelessly to educate and provide high-quality service for all students with special needs enrolled in Lafayette Parish School District.
Thank you, Mr. Edmond. Anyone else? Mr. Bergeron?
Thank you so much. I'm going to read Resolution 04-025-2127 to recognize National Week of the Young Child on April 5th through 11th, 2025. Whereas the first year of a child's life is the period of the most rapid brain development and lay the foundation for all future learning. Whereas 2 out of every 3 Louisiana families have both parents working. Whereas high quality early care and education can help lessen the effects of poverty, detect and remediate delays, identify and help prevent child neglect, and lead to positive outcomes for individual children, helping them be better prepared for school and more likely to succeed in life. Whereas high-quality early childhood education depends on high-quality early childhood educators to ensure that children, supported by families, have the early experiences they need for a strong foundation. Whereas young children need skilled, educated, competent, consistent, and especially compensated, early childhood educators in developmentally appropriate, accessible, and available early care and education settings. Whereas working families need sufficient high-quality child care spaces beginning at birth to be available in the community. Whereas early childhood educators need opportunities to acquire critical skills, knowledge, and competencies to meet the needs of our youngest learners. Whereas the celebration of Week of the Young Child highlights the vital role high-quality early care and education plays in the lives of young children and families in the state of Louisiana and our community of Lafayette. Therefore, be it duly resolved that the Lafayette Parish School Board does hereby designate the week of April 5th through 11th, 2025 as the National Week of the Young Child, and does hereby recognize that when our society invests in educators, we also invest in children and families. Thank you.
Ms. Tran?
Thank you, President. I would just like to say how appreciative I am to all of the librarians we have in our district. They go above and beyond to help our students, as well as working with our local libraries here in the parish. So I'd like to give a shout out to all the librarians, and also giving a shout out to all of our bus drivers, because as we know, we could not have our public school system without our bus drivers rolling every day. If it's cold, hot, whatever the temperature is, and also kudos to the transportation department staff as well. Thank you.
Madam Secretary, I'll call for the vote.
Six for, none against.
Motion carries. The only item not pulled, 3.11, it was pulled by Mr. Bergeron, is discussion and action regarding 2025-2026 bell schedules. Mr. Bergeron, I'll entertain a motion.
Yes, I ask that the board approve the recommended bell times as noted in the public content section with superintendent flexibility to amend/modify as needed due to bus transportation.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Hidalgo. The motion is that the board approve the recommended bell times as noted in the public content section with superintendent flexibility to amend, modify as needed due to bus transportation. Mr. Bergeron, Mr. Hidalgo seconded. Is there any public comment on 3.11? You can come up too, ma'am. There are 2 seats.
My name is Nadine Malasaw. I'm speaking against this change. Currently, there is at least a 40-minute cushion between school start times. With only 10 minutes between middle and high school start times and only 5 minutes between dismissal, families with students at both will not have enough time to transport and pick up their kids. Bus drivers will not be able to drive multiple routes like they do now. Bus transportation in our school system has been unreliable for years. This year, I've gotten several last-minute notifications that the bus wasn't running. It was always due to mechanical errors because the bus was falling apart. The schools are vastly spread out over the parish, especially considering the push towards magnet academies. Magnet academies only have satellite bus stops. Often, those stops take 10 to 15 minutes to get to by car. Add to that traffic, long car rider lines, construction on the roads, accidents, and flooding rain. There are already too many changes happening next school year. And with the closures and the rezoning, it's just going to complicate things. Adding new start times will just make all of this a lot harder for school staff and families. I found out only 2 weeks ago that my neighborhood was rezoned for middle school. I got a call about orientation, and that was the first time I had been informed of the change. The school is literally twice as far and twice as long of a commute from our neighborhood as our current zone school. Furthermore, these start times go against all official recommendations for teen students. Teens need 8 to 10 hours of sleep to function at their best. Considering how early students have to leave the house to catch the bus or get into long car rider lines, they would have to be asleep by about 9 p.m. How many teens do you know that are asleep by 9 p.m.? And how many elementary age students do you know that are like awake and ready for the day at sunrise? If you want your students working their best, then you should at least consider the latest start times for teens and not for the youngest students. Please vote against this or consider altering it so that teens have the later start time, or put it off for another year so that everyone can adjust to the changes that are already going to be happening instead of adding another big change. Thank you.
Go ahead, ma'am, you're up.
My name is Valerie LeBlanc, and I oppose 3.11. Can y'all hear me? My child attends LJ Alamont, and until today, I had not heard of this proposed change to not only my child's life, but my life and every person in middle grade student, or soon-to-be middle grade student in Lafayette Parish. And I wonder how many other parents do not know about tonight's proposal that will upend their lives. Regardless, I stand before you tonight not only as a concerned parent, but as someone who deeply believes in the well-being of our children and the families that support them. I'm here to urge you to reconsider the proposed change to an earlier start time for our middle school students, not just because it will upset our day-to-day lives, but because it will be a detriment to our students who, poor things, are taking the leap this week. This is a matter of science, health, and of family stability. The American Academy of Pediatrics, in a scientific journal article entitled School Start Times for Adolescents Dating to 2014, has made its position abundantly clear. Middle school and high school students should not start before 8:30 a.m. Why? Because adolescents are biologically programmed to fall asleep later and wake up later. Starting school early robs them of critical sleep, leading to negative effects such as poor academic performance, especially on LEAP tests, increased risk of depression, anxiety, even physical and other mental health problems, and a weakened immune system. Let's face it, bedtime will likely not be adjusted so easily as a vote here tonight. Are we really prepared to jeopardize all that for the sake of buses being off the road a little sooner? What about the child that has to wait in the cold and darkness for a school bus at 6:30 a.m. and instead of 7:30 a.m.? Is that safety for the child? Moreover, let's talk about working parents. Many of us are already juggling demanding jobs, early commutes, and limited child care options for this age group. An early start time will make mornings even more chaotic and stressful, not less. Any parent or teen or tween will tell you how hard it is to wake them up now, not because they are lazy, but because of science. And parents will be forced to choose between being on time for work and ensuring their child is ready and safe when they come home. An early dismissal time is even more difficult. Not every family has the luxury of flexible work hours or access to after-school care. These changes will hit hardest in the homes where support is already stretched thin. I myself am recently unemployed. Do you think any employer is going to eagerly want to hire me when I tell them I have to leave work at 2 o'clock to get my child off the bus and safely home? As it is, 3:50 is already a stretch. Please realize this isn't just about buses. This is about protecting children, supporting families, and making decisions based on what's best for kids, not just the easiest for the system. Please listen to the experts, listen to the families, listen to the science. Keep middle school start times as they are and not any earlier. Thank you for your support.
Any other public comment? Sir, I've never heard you speak on anything but the handbook. This is a first, ladies and gentlemen.
That's just not true, Mr. President.
I know. We like you.
Yeah, I'm pretty fond of y'all myself. All right, so I'm here to talk about address the ladies, of course, have brought up what impacts this will have on them and their families, and that's valid. My concern is more that what changes this will have on bus routes and bus drivers. It seems like it would take many more drivers to accomplish this, and we're always seemingly looking for bus drivers as it is. We just recognized National School Bus Drivers Day, but are we asking too much of the drivers by changing the bell schedule? Also, when the agenda was posted 2 days ago was when I found out that high school has a 15-minute longer day than middle school and elementary. I know 15 minutes doesn't sound like much, but it adds up over time. I know it's not Q&A, but I wanted to state my curiosity. If there was a reason for this, as we already far exceed seat time requirements for high school by thousands of minutes. Back with Dr. Cooper, we extended the high school day and never looked back. While it doesn't bother me, I stay till 4 o'clock every day. I have a number of my teachers who are wondering if they can get some information as to why this discrepancy exists. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment before we go to board comment? Hearing none, any board comment? Mr. Dalgo.
Mr. Superintendent, I have to presume at this point, unless you correct me, that all of this came about, I'd asked you some time ago about looking at pushing back the start time of high school. I mean, we're aware of kids who are standing outside catching the bus at 5:40, 5:45 in the morning to get to some high schools. And so I have to presume that this is where this came from. Whether or not it did, what I'd like for you to do, please, I mean, you've already told me that we can't do anything about high school this year, and I understand why, and I respect it, and that you'll look at it in future years, but can you give us some insight? I mean, all of the feedback I've received so far on this item via email, text message, social media, I've received quite a bit back. Overwhelming majority is in support of changing these times. Well, I do have some people, and then those who have testified that are not in support, but I would like to understand better, where did you come up with this idea? Why? What is the impact? You've heard some of the questions. I know this is not Q&A, but if you can address some of the questions that were spoken to.
So first of all, when we just speak about the educational part of it, in every one of the aspects that we have, when we start talking about after-school tutoring, and we get out of school at 3:50 right now at a middle school, it is so hard for us to be able to get teachers to stay after to help kids who are in need. To me, that is very problematic when it comes to academics. The second is that we have kids that are getting home at 6 o'clock at night. When we dismiss at 3:50, in addition to that, we are right in the midst of 5 o'clock traffic here in Lafayette Parish. We have more accidents that take place at that time, and we put our kids in danger by making sure the majority of these kids will be off of buses at 4:30, which will avoid the 5 o'clock traffic and make sure that we don't put our kids in harm's way. So it's threefold. One, academically, we're going to be able to get teachers to stay after, and we're going to be able to get the kids that are in need to be able to have the things that they need. Secondly, listen, we have to really make sure that we don't get kids, going home that late, and we got to get them out of harm's way as far as that 5 o'clock traffic is concerned. We will look at that starting time as far as high school. It is something, but this was something that we could really do, and contrary to what one of the gentlemen stated, it will actually be less buses, and we will be able to make sure that kids are not being we don't have buses that are doubling, we will have single routes, and we'll have more efficiency as far as getting kids off the bus and not just staying on the bus for a long period of time.
That is, you good? Mr. Lejeune?
Yes, sir. I know I've gotten a few questions and concerns about the times. Is the bus in the transportation system? Mr. Touche, can you kind of explain how we're going to be able to do this with less buses or with the same amount of buses and not have any interruption for families in their bus transportation to and from school?
I'm going to yield to Ms. Gardner and Mr. Nick Jeffers and Ross Cloto, who is in charge of this, and they are the ones that came about after I basically stated, these are the things that I'm looking at. They actually put this plan together and actually made sure. So I'll just turn it over to Ms. Gardner.
Good evening. Last year, as most of you know, we overhauled transportation, and we are over a 98% efficiency run rate this year of getting buses on the road every day. So we've been very proud of the achievement. Mr. Touchette, I was a middle school principal, so I understand the 8:30 time. We came together for the past couple of weeks collaboratively and worked at the routes. The goal is with a 10-minute span leaving high school at 7:05 and middle school at 7:15. We will have some blended routes. So we have some parts of the area that you have a high school gifted bus and you pass up a high school gifted kid and you have two buses that are running neck and neck. We'll be able to put them on the same bus and do it as a 10-minute layover. We have some buses that aren't running at full efficiency. You might have 15 buses because 15 students because the route is longer, so your ridership is longer. So when you can consolidate a bus, this year we were able to consolidate 20 buses to be as efficient as we are this year. We can consolidate some more buses and make us more efficient and get the kids out on time.
Ms. Gordon, I was asked to ask you a question concerning the satellite locations, and how would this affect that?
Currently, our satellite stops, we remain at our satellite stops after we revisit them. So we geoplot where our students are in the academy, which shows on a map where the vast majority of kids are. Our satellite stops will remain as we know as of today, means we might tweak a few, but the satellites will run as they run now, just have a time adjustment.
And could you kind of, sort of give an answer as to when parents will be aware of the changes to satellite times and so forth and so on?
So where is Mr. Ross? So where we are right now is we are already in the working. So in order to commit to this working, we had to do preliminary work to be able to make sure that it was feasible. So we are looking, is it, Mr. Cloto, at the end of May, early June, to be able to finalize our routes, and we would release at the same time as we did last year in mid-July?
Correct, absolutely. What we're doing right now is we are taking all the data that we do have, that way we can go ahead and start combining routes, pairing routes, doing everything that we need to do to make this effective for the 25-26 school year. So we're looking at, I'd say the latest would be the end of June.
Thank you. The one thing I would advise now, and if I can remember is not hard, is forgetting is the problem. Parents, Lafayette Parish School System on Facebook is a great place to find information. I would recommend, if you haven't followed it or friended it or whatever you have to do, to go ahead and do it. All of this information will be posted. And I ask staff to not just post it one time on social media. If once you have that information, if you can do it continuously for a couple of weeks in case somebody misses it. Social media, news, however we can get the information out so that we don't have someone coming to a board meeting and saying, I didn't know. So spread the word, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be plastered all over Facebook, because you know if it's on Facebook, it's true. So.
Mr. Lachele, not only is it on Facebook, it is on our website. So when we post them, we also send out J-calls. So we do ask parents, we'll be sending out a notice from the communications department for parents to update their information this summer with their current phone number, their email address, because as this is completion, as it's the start of school and all the important dates, we will be pushing it out through J Campus, through the EdGear, the webs, the J-calls that you get, and it is published on our website on the banner.
Thank you. Any other comment? Ms. Trahan?
So I received some calls as well regarding this agenda item, and I spoke with the superintendent in regards to it. And most of the questions he was able to answer, pretty much all of them. But one thing that I also want to make certain is that we have middle schoolers and possibly high schoolers on the same bus at the same time. So I think that really also needs to be addressed. And one of the things the superintendent suggested is maybe to have the middle schoolers in the front of the bus and then the high schoolers in the back, so they're not, you know, intermingling with each other. Because a 6th grader and a 12th grader, that's a big difference, right? Correct. And so I think that is something that I'm definitely want to hear, that there's something, a structure for that as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that comes apart as for student management with the drivers that we'll work with into the 25-26 school year.
Mr. Hidalgo, you have a question?
Yeah, Mr. Ross.
Yes, sir.
Being off of the road, or the majority of the buses being off of the road before 5 o'clock traffic, I mean, outside of safety, what can you describe to me the efficiency of that and what that looks like for transportation?
Absolutely. You know, right now we're working a little over a 12-hour day, 13-hour day, some of us in the transportation department. So with that being said, it would be a huge safety factor for us to be able to, you know, how do I want to say this, just, you know, get home, get to our families, right? But then, of course, there's drivers that have been on the road. Some of us, some of them with the gifted routes. Our gifted routes for some of the longest. Again, in fact, in your area, one of the buses is not getting off the road until about 5:45. So by the time you get home at 6, so on and so forth. I think more so for us, it's just the safety factor, because if you actually look at the broad scope of when, like Mr. Tuchet was saying, when the accidents do happen, it's in that 5 to 5:30, 5:45 window.
So safety is absolutely the most important thing, but I'm looking at it as, you know, where I live on the south side of town, if I leave my house in a 2-minute window, I could take a 7-minute drive and turn it into a 27-minute drive.
Absolutely.
And so I'm just wondering the true efficiency of, you know, to the gentleman's point, or actually to Ms. Gardner's point, of fewer buses needed because of that. I mean, is that making sense? Are you guys calculating that, or we don't know until we do it?
Yeah, so right now, the only thing that I can say is that we are in the midst of putting everything together. Again, we'll make all those numbers factual come June.
Mr. Lejeune?
Mr. Ross, how many buses drive middle school and elementary?
So we currently have 235 paired routes. With that being said, we have 122 that are running middle school, and then 122 running high school and middle school together. Not together, I'm sorry, separate, but currently at this time. Based off of, this decision was solely based off our ridership numbers, to be honest with you, as far as how many kids are riding buses, when they're getting off, so on and so forth. And so we're already have kind of made progress this year and kind of looking at them, looking at the endeavors. Part of the 98% of efficiency that we've been running all our routes is the backup plans that we've been putting into place, pairing routes together, seeing what works, what doesn't work. I mean, a lot of the middle schools right now, if a bus doesn't run, we could send another bus and they could actually run that route together depending on who's next, so on and so forth. So. Yes,
So if
sir.
we're able to remove 122 buses off of the roads, should that help the traffic flow in Lafayette?
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. No doubt. I mean, you think of Johnson Street, you think of Camellia Boulevard, you think of, I mean, I'm from Youngsville, Shimon-Metairie, Youngsville Highway, all that major construction that's going on right now. So, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Sir.
Mr. Edmond?
Mr. Ross, it said that there'll be fewer buses on the route, you know, with this adjusted time.
Mm-hmm.
I know today at Lafayette Middle, a bus didn't show up at the last minute. So with these buses that don't show up at the last minute or have any type of breakdown, we should have drivers able to jump on that route without having to call these parents out, right?
Correct, absolutely. So the good thing about this is that this will give us better backup situations for our routes, right? So in the event that something does happen, it'll be easier to send somebody to run that additional route before they actually head over to their elementary school.
Come on, Mr. Bergeron.
I'll make it real short. I mean, one of the things we have to be cognizant of, especially when we start to move high school and middle school, is that in some households, and I don't want to say it's a majority, but like a good bit of households, the older siblings are taking care of the younger siblings. So we have to be cognizant of households, because I've had some parents reach out to me, same concerns, right? Same concerns about middle school times right now, where I think the earliest sometimes like 8:05, I think is the earliest drop-off time,
Correct.
and sometimes it conflicts with work because they have to leave work or be late for work to come drop their kids off. So we're trying to massage some of this. And I know when I ran for office, I was knocking on doors, and I said, what's the biggest thing you want us to work on? Like, number one was transportation, like just a hit or miss.
Right.
So do you feel, well, then I'm going to ask, this is not scientific, this is going to be a better plan, we're going to see more efficiencies, we're going to see, like, when we look at the totality of a time that a kid's on the school bus to, from going to school to coming back from school, like, that time window should be shorter. So it
Correct.
gives them more time in their day, hopefully more time to sleep in, hopefully. More time at home to do homework, so they have more time with their family at night. Like, there's a bunch of concerns that we're trying to solve that are
Absolutely.
transportation related, but outside of transportation. So I just want us to be
Absolutely.
cognizant of some of the issues. So one of the questions that was posed to me, and we talked about it today, was why not stagger the times more evenly? Why can't we do 7:05, 7:35, 8:05, or something like that? Like,
So part of that is when you're looking at the ridership data, first off, elementary has one of the top highest ridership data, right? And then when you look at high school, when you look at elementary, so the high school is a little bit lower because, of course, you have sophomores that begin the drive, and then juniors and seniors, and then you look at the middle schools and looking at the number of kids that actually ride the buses in middle schools. So by pairing those together, we'll be able to go ahead and actually makes more sense to do the middle school and high schools versus, trying to push everything back. It's more about efficiency and about running a 72 passenger bus with only 5 to 8 kids on it, which is what we've been seeing in the last couple of years. And so, and look, Mr. Bergeron, I will say this, one of the tasks that I was tasked with, that Mr. Touchette tasked me with, was let's achieve efficiency. So this is gonna be part of that step.
Mr. Bergeron, if you also think about it, we have 25, since the ridership is highest in elementary, we also have 25 elementary schools.
Yeah.
So if you just look at that as a whole, your ridership in that window, there has to be a larger window between middle school and elementary school to be able to capture all the children and actually get them to school, because you're servicing more at that time.
Correct.
I don't know if saying capturing the children on public record, but yeah, I agree. Like, that's one of the things I looked at. Like, how many elementary schools do we have? And I think like over half, like 30-something are elementary schools.
Correct,
so, yeah.
correct.
Right. Just to let you know, back in the day, when us old people went to school, this is how, kind of sort of how it was. You had K to 12 on the same bus.
Right.
And I'm going to correct you on one thing.
Go ahead.
I went to Judy's Elementary,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a couple people driving in 8th grade. I'm not lying, people. This was 1974, 1975. You want to say something, Mr. Superintendent?
Yeah, board members, let me first of all bring us back to our team and what we have been sought out to do is that, number one, be more efficient with the taxpayers' dollars. I can tell you that every morning, my team doesn't even know where I go, but I am at a school at 6:45 in the morning. I may have 25 buses that are sitting in the front of Lafayette High School, and there's probably only about 200 kids that get off of it. The efficiency that we need to have as far as saving money and being able to consolidate is what we are trying to accomplish here. But as I've said to you before, this safety factor that we are always trying to strive for, we have to make sure that we keep that. And we are having too many accidents that are taking place. And you're not going to see it as a board, but the next board and the next board is going to be in that executive session like we're going because of somebody running into someone else. And that is the ultimate we're trying to do. We're trying to curb those accidents, and we're trying to make sure that we're getting more efficient with what we're doing because the ridership in high school, it's not there. I mean, kids are being dropped off, kids are riding with other kids are driving, it's just not there. But we still have to run those routes. So I'm just asking you to please just kind of understand, we will work with Ms. Trahan's request. We're gonna work to make sure we have protocols as far as those combined routes. This is gonna be something that we wanna get out right now. We want parents to know right now in April so that we can make adjustments and they can make adjustments and we can get ourselves prepared for the 25-26.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Madam Secretary, I'll call for the vote.
Six for, none against.
Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll move on to 4.1 and 4.2. 4.1 is discussion and or action concerning pending litigation involving a workman's compensation matter. 4.2 is discussion and or action concerning prospective litigation. I would ask for a motion that we go into executive session.
Mr. President, I move that we go into executive
Second.
session to discuss item 4.1 and 4.2.
Mr. Hidalgo, could you work on your public speaking before the
Yes.
next meeting? You are faltering today. We have a motion by Mr. Hidalgo, seconded by Ms. Trahan, that we go into executive session. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Mr. President, I make a motion, we go back into regular session.
Second.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion by Mr. Hidalgo, seconded by Mr. Edmond, that we go back into regular session. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. We're back in regular session.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion that the board accept council's recommendation on both items 4.1 and 4.2. I need to read them.
I have a motion. I have a motion by Mr. Hidalgo, seconded by Mr. Bergeron, that we take recommendation of council. Any public comment? Any board comment? Madam Secretary, I'll call for the vote.
Mr. Latulay, who seconded that motion?
While we wait, Mr. Edmond, you said you wanted to talk to somebody?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to my granddaughter, Aubrey Adams. She's a sixth grader at Acadian Middle School, plays basketball, and she's in band. She plays the trumpet. And she said, Papa, I watch the board meeting every time they have a board meeting. So might have a new school board member in training.
I asked you if she had any comments about the board president, but you never asked me, so how should I take that?
She hear you right now, so she'll give me a report tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
6 for, none against.
Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the final item on the agenda. This meeting is adjourned.